Hey everyone, and welcome to another video. This is my half-monthly pickups. As always, it's the 15th here, so I'm just going to show off everything I got for this first half of December. This is not a video related or attached to my 12 Days of Anime video series, but if you are interested, those are also available. I'm posting every single day for the next 10 days after today, and there'll be a lot of different things in those videos that I'm going to be talking about, but today I'm just going to be showing off, or in this video I'm just going to be showing off all of my pickups as per usual, and I hope you guys enjoy. So first off, I got some anime for the first time in a long time. One of them being Season 2, Part 2 of My Hero Academia, so I finally finished up this series in the standard editions. I sold off my limited editions as I said I would, because I'm not a huge fan of like really over big, unnecessary limited editions, and that's exactly what My Hero Academia has, unfortunately. For a series that is already 3 and prospectively going to be 4+ seasons long, I can't have it all in big boxes. It just doesn't make sense. There's no reason for it. So yes, it's easy, simple, the standard edition, really happy with it, really enjoy this show. I do actually need to start season 3 because I haven't gotten around to it yet. But this is a really fun, very popular shonen. I'm sure most people know of it or are following it already. And yeah, so one that was, I think, pretty expected for a lot of anime fans to get. And I'm happy to finally have this version, especially in my collection. Next is something that's technically not something I bought this month, but it is, but it isn't. What I'm going to show off is sort of how many people who've seen my collection knows that I sometimes modify packaging, or I make my own collector's boxes, or I put singles into like a multi-disc case so it doesn't take so much shelf space, and that's sort of what I'm going to be talking about or showing off right now. That is Darker Than Black, and you can see it has volume 1. This is the cover, because this is what I bought. I bought volume 1 of the DVDs, the Australian DVDs, and trimmed it down to fit a Blu-ray case because I have had the Darker Than Black Blu-rays for a very long time, but for many people you should probably know that, or you probably do know, that this series was only ever released on Blu-ray once by Funimation, and they had some really terrible limited edition packaging where it was like a fake manila folder type deal, cardboard sleeves and all this stuff. It was just not great. And so I had wanted to put the discs into a proper case for so long. I just never got around to it, and so finally I have. So although this is not exactly a new pickup, this is still fairly newish in this form for me. Finally, for anime is a unusual one that I didn't expect to get, but this is one that I found on Gumtree, and I couldn't really pass it up because it's one that I feel like I would have regretted if I didn't get it, and that is the limited edition Fullmetal Alchemist Conqueror of Shambhala movie. This is the Japanese limited edition of the DVD of this film. It comes with 3 discs, the movie, and then 2 extras discs, some postcards, and then a booklet. This artwork is probably fairly recognizable for this film, but a lot of people don't really like this film. I actually like it quite a lot. I think it really suits the tone of the original Fullmetal Alchemist series. I think it was very well done and achieved what they were going for, and I liked the sort of history twist and all sorts of things. I don't know. I maybe was very easy to please, but I do think this film has merits, and this particular release does have subtitles on the actual movie, so I can watch it. I already have this movie in the standard like Blu-ray disc anyway, so it's not like I was missing this film, but this is just a really beautifully packaged, beautifully presented you know, film and movie, so I wanted to pick it up because it was very, very cheap. I was honestly surprised, and I had known about it for a long time, but just I never really felt the need to buy it because obviously I already have the movie, but being there, I thought might as well, because I love this series, I love this movie. Or I don't love this movie, but I do enjoy this movie. It's really nice. I should really rewatch the original Fullmetal Alchemist because it's been a long time. But yeah, it's one that was just sort of a surprise, and I'm happy that I found it. Now, going into manga, we have the rest of what I needed for this series, and that is Junko's Kiss Him Not Me. We have volume 8, which was the only like middle volume that I needed, volume 12, volume 13, and volume 14. This is a really wonderful romantic comedy by a mangaka whose work I really enjoy. She is sort of fundamentally a BL mangaka. This was her first shoujo manga, and despite the premise was really, really funny and fun and well done, and never devolved into being like really hurtful or mean. It's just really, really good. The covers on these are really lovely, and I really like Junko's art style. I think she has some really expressive faces and a lot of actual visual comedy, as well as just like the scenarios that our characters get put into. This was a series that when it was first announced as being written by Junko, like as her new series, I was really excited for. It did not disappoint. I really am glad that she seems to have done so well with this series, and I hope more people do try this one out, especially if you're looking for like a very funny shoujo manga that does really embrace but still tease the fujoshi culture in Japan. It's just really, really well done. One that ended like perfectly in my opinion. I think because this is a reverse harem type deal, the actual romantic development of this series was really well handled, and I'm very happy because I think the popular choice, the popular vote by fans as like, oh, he's the one. If I had to make a decision, I'd date him. And he's actually the one who sort of prevailed in the end, which is really good. But in saying that, all of the male characters were very well done. None of them were like just outright mean or just terrible people, which is not always the case in shoujo manga. So it's nice. It was really good, really funny, and just really, really satisfying. And that's all you can really ask for when you are reading a rom-com. So yeah, Kiss Him Not Me, definitely. I'm very happy to have finally finished this. This is one that I actually wanted to finish this year, so I'm sneaking in just before the ending of, you know, the year to finally finish the series, and yeah, very happy to have it complete in my collection. Next, for older titles that I got this month is number 6, volume 4. This is the last volume I needed of this 9-volume sci-fi series to finish it. This is a story about a dystopic future where like there's utopias and people are very happy, but it's a very classist system, and outside of these you know, perfect cities. People are struggling to survive, and there's a lot of slums and that sort of thing. And there's a lot of there's stuff, there's conspiracies going on, the government trying to control people, you know, just normal stuff that you would expect in this type of setting. We also have our two main characters who come from like different sides of this conflict but come together when certain things happen. I'm really happy that this manga was made available in English, and for people who want like LGBT stories that aren't focused on that aspect, this is one for you to pick up. It's very much, as I said, like a sci-fi dystopic future. And I would also encourage people who are interested in this series to pick up the anime DVDs, Blu-rays, whichever you prefer right now, because it's on sale from Sentai at $10 on their store. You can also get it at Right Stuff, but it's going out of print, and it's going out of print in the sense that Aniplex isn't letting Sentai renew their license, as has been the case with most or all Aniplex series as of late. So if you want it, get it now, because this is not a series that will get like a fancy new re-release from Aniplex like Fullmetal Alchemist and Black Butler has. It won't justify a new release because it's not popular enough for it. But it's really, really good. The anime is not perfect. There's a lot of rough edges, and it's quite rushed because it is like a novel adaptation trying to fit into 11 episodes. But it's still really, really good. And it will be a terrible loss once it's not available anymore. So even if you're just mildly curious, I would say get it sooner rather than later, because otherwise you're going to seriously miss out. And hey, if you don't enjoy it, if you don't like it, you can always sell it, and for $10 it's not a huge investment. But the manga, as I said, is sort of an adaptation. It's an adaptation of the novel, but also the anime. The anime isn't perfect, it's very rushed, but I wanted to read this to see whether or not anything was expanded, just to see the differences between the two. And now with this 4th volume, I can actually read the rest of the series. It's really good. I'm glad to finally have this book. Next on new releases, or starting with new releases, we have My Hero Academia Volume 16, obviously the most recent volume of this popular shonen battle action school superhero manga, one that most people know and enjoy and is really creative and wonderful. I really like this series. It has so much imagination, and even though it is like a superhero setting and that's sort of just the hit thing right now, and I feel like it could get very tired, Horikoshi has done a really great job at diversifying powers and adapting them to various situations and just being really creative with how things work in this quirk, you know, society where majority of people have these weird powers, and how things have adapted to sort of account for that. It's really good, really, really fun and funny. This is definitely the new powerhouse within shonen. It's definitely the new gateway for new fans to be introduced to anime and manga, and it does its job very, very well. And even for existing fans of anime and manga, this is still a fun read, especially now that sort of the old guard of shonen has sort of retired and moved on and left us and concluded. Now having this and some other stuff as at the forefront is really nice. It's a different type of energy, and it definitely has been doing really, really well here, both here and in Japan. Then we have Wotakoi, Love is Hard for Otaku Volume 3, which is the omnibus of Volumes 5 and 6, as you can see. But this is a very funny romantic comedy josei about a bunch of very nerdy, fanish, but secretly nerdy and fanish people who are in relationships with each other. It's really great. There's a lot of references to like actual like anime, manga, game info, or just lines or visual references that, you know, people who are into it will probably be able to tell. There's a particular part very early on where I posted this on my Twitter, but I saw this poster and was like, oh my gosh, I know what movie they're seeing. And for those less obsessive about it than me, it's the free films, it's the timeless medley films. Like, hey, I know what you're seeing. What a bunch of nerds. So yeah, really fun, really funny. All of the characters are really well done. It's just a really nice little rom-com type deal, and really, really good. I hope that volume 4 comes out soon, but I know it won't because I'm pretty sure we're fairly caught up with Japan now, so it's going to be a wait until we have volume 4 or volumes 7 and 8 available. Then we have a debut from the new publisher Denpa Books. This is Inside Mari by Shuzo Oshimi of Flower of Evil and Happiness popularity. This series is about a NEET who changes or switches bodies with a 16-year-old girl, and now he sort of has to live in her life and have to deal with her drama and nobody finding out. It's really, really good. It's not, like, as most Oshimi titles are, it's definitely a psychological thriller. It's not like a hijinksy comedy that a lot of, like, body swap manga tends to be. If you're a fan of Asano and you haven't tried any of Oshimi's work, those two are definitely cut from the same cloth, and this series is no different. I haven't read Flower of Evil just because I really didn't like it. I saw some of the anime and just wasn't, I don't know, it made me uncomfortable, which is sort of the point, but I just didn't feel the need to read anymore or follow it up with the manga. I have read Happiness, which I do enjoy a lot more, and is a really interesting vampire manga. This one, as I said, is a body swap manga. So all of his manga really have very different premises to them, but they all have like quite similar themes within them. And yeah, I would definitely recommend this series. I have actually read the entirety of this series via Crunchyroll's manga app. It's only 9 volumes long, 80 chapters or 80 odd chapters long, so not super long. But when I read it on Crunchyroll, really enjoyed it. When Denpa announced the license, I knew that I was going to pick it up because I want to support this new publisher, but also I do actually really like this manga. It's really weird and interesting and creepy and well done. And yeah, I mean, I can't really say much more than that, but it's just really good. I look forward to volume 2 and 3 and all the subsequent volumes till volume 9, and I hope that this series does well for Denpa, because I hope Denpa in general does well. Then we have one of my absolute favorite ongoing manga currently, and that is Land of the Lustrous by Haruko Ichikawa. This is volume 7, and this volume is where shit gets real. I absolutely adore this series. It's phenomenal. How it's evolved from volume 1 is just incredible. I love the art style. I love everything about this manga. The writing is incomparable, honestly. Just look how beautiful. It's just captivating. And I don't want to go too far because I don't want to spoilers, but this series just does pretty much everything right, in my opinion. The evolution of the character and how this series is written, there's a visual symbolism with how much our character has changed from volume 1 to volume 7. But this volume in particular really shows that, like, is really a turning point for the series. If you've enjoyed it thus far, from now on, it's just going to astound you. This part of the series, from now onwards, is where this goes from a great manga to a phenomenal manga. And I already love this series, but this is by far one of my absolute favorite ongoing manga, and sort of manga in general. It's just so interesting and wonderful, and just leaves me at a loss for words. But I can't encourage people enough to try this series out. It's well worth it. Another debut, this time from Viz, with Ran and the Grey World by Akihire, which is a really interesting 7-volume seinen series about a little girl who is a member of a family of sorcerers. And so it's very magical, a lot of like interesting stuff, but she feels like she's treated as a child, obviously because she is a child, but she puts on sort of magic shoes which allow her to grow and age, and she becomes like a very sexy sort of teen girl. And there are aspects of this manga that are a bit I don't like that, but more so that's because of our knowledge as an audience compared to the characters' knowledge within the series. But it's not a deal breaker for me, and although I've heard that that never really goes away and it's sort of just a part of the manga, it doesn't dissuade me from wanting to try this series. From this first volume, I really enjoyed it. It has a very vocal and loving following, so I'm hoping that I enjoy it very much. It, as you saw with the artwork, it is beautiful. Akihire is actually a friend and associate of Kaoru Mori, so obviously they have sort of similar, I guess, sort of, I don't know, they just have a similar atmosphere to their manga, and I can't wait to read more because we do have this very wonderful sort of slice of life with a magical twist and a pretty mischievous main character. I look forward to seeing more from this family of magic users. And speaking of Kaoru Mori, we have volume 10 of A Bride's Story, one of my absolutely favorite ongoing series. This is a phenomenal seinen. Oh, look at that eagle. There's so many wonderful aspects to this manga, and this book in particular really focuses on Karluk, which is really great because obviously being the husband of this bride whom story it is, it's nice to have him as a focus because obviously he has a lot of sort of insecurities because he is so much younger. He is technically like still a child. That his want or his hopes to mature and to be a better husband to his wife and to be able to provide and protect her, and this want to just be better for the sake of his family and his spouse is maybe fairly relatable for a lot of people. Wanting to be the best version of yourself for the people you love, I think most people can relate to. And it's just gorgeously done. I really love, like, despite obviously there is a very large age gap between our main characters, or at least our main bride and her husband, but really that never gets really creepy about it. It is very much in line with what was fairly standard at the time. Getting married at a very young age, and getting married mainly just to whomever would take you for various reasons, whether it be power or influence or land or whatever. Not unusual, and I think people need to, when you read this manga, you need to keep in mind that is sort of the cultural context for it. And thankfully, A Bride Story, even though it does have a relationship with like a large age gap, it never feels like unbalanced or one character is manipulating the other or taking advantage of the other. It's a very respectful and well done and well communicated relationship, which is always something to appreciate. This is another manga that has, from the premise, maybe sounds really terrible and something to avoid, but you would be missing out. You would be hugely missing out if you did, just from sort of the main synopsis of this series. It's just beautifully done, and the relationship between our main characters is really wonderful. It's almost a healthier relationship in terms of communication, and in terms of respect, and in terms of how much they care about each other, more so than even like normal manga that have like a normal relationship without a big age gap. So it's interesting in that respect as well. It's a very delicate balance, and I think Mori does it perfectly. I think it could go very wrong in a less skilled person's hands, but nothing to worry about with this story. I really, really adore A Bride Story. It's absolutely gorgeous, beautiful, captivating, lovely, and this particular book, I really, really like the focus on Karluk, and later on we have some more from Mr. Smith, which is nice because we haven't seen him in a while. It's really nice, and whenever a new volume of this comes out, I always get really excited. Volume 11 is slated to be released soon in Japan, so here's hoping we get that sooner rather than later. Then we have Bloom into Volume 4. This isn't the latest volume. I think 5 has come out, or it is coming out. I don't know. I'm a little bit behind on this series. I had the first 3 volumes for a very long time, and it just took me a long time to pick up this one. But I finally sat down and read this series, and I really, really, really like it. I'm sure a lot of people are following the anime. I haven't started it yet, but I am hoping to. But this is a really well done Yuri that I think really does handle certain things much more in an interesting way. There is hints, or there's pretty explicit like asexual characters, but even one of our main characters is hinted to be like pretty either aromantic or asexual. It's really interesting because it's not just a cut and dry 2 girls fall in love, they kiss, and then happily ever after happens. There's a lot of different aspects to this, and it's just all done very, very well. I really like the fact that there's a main male character, or all of the male characters in this series aren't really just, well, one, that they exist. I hate it when manga and BL, or like manga, Yuri, and BL just disregard the other half of the world that don't exist, because even if you're going to an all-girls school or whatever, you still have like male teachers, people still have dads and brothers, and you still see like guys existing in the world. It's not like they're just completely removed from society. And this one, like with Kase-san and, is set in a co-ed school, which is really nice to see. It's just does a lot of things that I appreciate, and I think a lot of people have really latched on to, more so than even some of the other like Yuri anime that we've gotten recently. this one is really strong. It has a lot of really good messages for young people who maybe feel detached from this idea of like the shoujo or the Disney like happily ever after type deal. It's just really well done, and I can't praise the series enough. I hope to get volume 5 soon so I can finally catch up with this series, but then I'll have to wait and then I'll be sad. So, I don't know. It's a catch-22 there, but really good. I enjoyed it and I look forward to more. I have some BL and they're sort of complicated to talk about. I'm not fully sure on my thoughts on either of these, but the first one is The Man of Tango by Tetsuzo Okadaya. This is an all-in-one or like complete volume, single volume series. And if you read Okadaya's author notes at the back of the book, she mentions that previously, well, this is her first BL manga, but previously she was doing gay komi. So the difference is BL or yaoi is manga about gay men written for women, and then gay komi are manga about gay men written for gay men, which is very obvious in Okadaya's art style. All of her men are like very buff and muscular and sort of like just not really what you expect from BL characters. It is very much what you would expect from gay komi characters. This I picked up because it's going out of print. Sublime did actually mention on their social media this and another series, which I hope to show off next pickup video. I don't have it yet. And I wanted to try it. I've heard some good things. And this isn't a bad series. It's really interesting. Obviously, with Okadaya's sort of previous experience, it doesn't really feel like a normal BL comic. There's a very thick tone of like sensuality, obviously being related to tango and dance, and this sort of unexplainable pull and attraction between two people. It's done really well, and 97% of this manga is really, really good. I also really like the main female character in this, because we do have a main female character. And she's also drawn like really muscular because she's a dancer. I'm like, oh man, wow, you really like your muscles, which is fine, but like it was a bit of a surprise. But this manga does have quite dubious consent with regards to the sexual activity, or like the sexual explicit side of it. Especially the first part with our main characters is very dubious consent. Don't sleep with people who are drunk. Just don't do that. But it's almost like a given in a lot of BL manga. I hate for that to become like something that's just accepted, and I hate to support that. But if you cut that little bit out, or you adjusted it just a little bit, this manga would be absolutely fine. And honestly, this manga is fine for what it is, but the epilogue is what makes this manga for me. There's a epilogue set 30 years in the future, and there's some sad stuff that happens in that epilogue, or is revealed in that epilogue, but it's really an emotional gut punch, and it's so interesting to see characters who, like, we obviously see the story of them like getting together, and then seeing them 30 years in the future, and how much their lives have changed, and how much their relationship has evolved, and how much things have improved or gotten worse or whatever. It's so interesting. And with this book in particular, Okadaya, when this series was licensed, she said, well, if we're licensing it in English, I want to add some more content to it, i.e. the epilogue, and I want it to be like a updated version. I wasn't super happy with the original. Let me fix it up. And so really for the English, it was the English release of the series that got that done. And that's really interesting to me. It's so curious how that type of thing can happen. And like I said, this manga is interesting. If you like, or if you're wanting something that has more substantial men in it, as it were, then pick it up. It, as I said, definitely has this sensuality to it, this almost gravitas of the attraction between our two characters, and it's done really, really well. But I would be amiss not to mention the fact that it really does have like very dubious consent in that first sexual encounter. I'm not sure if I'm going to keep this series around, but I think enough of it was good for me. Like, I enjoyed for me to keep it. And I think, like, it's so hard to find BL that just does everything right. Thankfully, that's changing nowadays. But this one, it's not bad. It's actually, I would say, a good manga. But it does have aspects that I wish weren't in there, which I hate to say, and which sort of is the general trend for BL. But it's nowhere, in saying that, it's nowhere near as bad as like something from Junjo Romantica or hell, the other one, World's Greatest First Love, or 90% of like what was popular in the early 2000s up until like 2010. It's way better than like half of that stuff, more than half of that stuff. So, you know, take my trepidation with a grain of salt. It's fairly standard, really not as problematic as like a lot of very popular BL. So it's just me maybe being overly cautious and overly sensitive. But if those sorts of things don't faze you, don't worry you, then this is one to get now sooner rather than later, again, because it is going out of print. So yeah, it's a decision, it's a call you guys have to make if you are wanting this series. And yeah, I'll make my decision. I'll have to reread it in a little while, not immediately. Next for my BL is Escape Journey Volume 1 by Oguretsu Tanaka. This is another series that really earns its explicit ratings logo, so I'm going to be try and be very careful about opening this series up. But I really like the art style on this, and Oguretsu Tanaka is a very well-regarded BL mangaka, so this is the first of her series available in English, and I wanted to try it. She has quite a few things available in German, but the premise of the series really appealed to me. I thought it was really interesting. It is done quite often in BL, but I wanted to see, this is only 3 volumes long, it's not super duper long, but it's enough to really flesh out the scenario and the characters and allow things to happen. But it's about 2 university students who in high school used to date, but their relationship really soured, they argued a lot, and their friendships really fell apart as well. They realized they couldn't really be lovers, and as a consequence, their friendship just never recovered. But they've reunited in university, and they're really not only giving their friendship a second try, but they sort of fall back into this romantic relationship again, and giving it, you know, another try, and trying to find out or figure out why things didn't work, you know, all those years ago. And now that they've matured and time has hopefully helped them grow and to be better people and whatever else. But it is made very clear that their relationship was, in high school, there was, like, the arguments, the bad times were really bad. Like, it was quite explosive. They were both at each other's throats, and they just wouldn't, there was no forgiveness. No one would, you know, apologize. It was just not good. It was just not a good relationship. But now it's been 3 or 4 or however many years, and they're trying their best, and they're trying to be better and to do better. And so that was really interesting and good, because that is something you do see, is people who used to date and it sort of just fell apart, didn't work out, and then they reunite, and, you know, the people they are have grown, and you become more aware of what you want and the things you care about, and being more receptive to other people, and being less proud and less embarrassed, and all those sorts of things. So I wanted to see how well this series did that. And I'm so conflicted, because this series, 99.95% of it is good. Is really good, I would say. It's well done, it's well written, all of the characters are really good, not just our main characters, but the supporting characters. You can really feel sort of the emotions of the characters, and it's just done really, really well, and I can see why Tanaka is so highly regarded. But, and I hate it when there's a but there's one scene, and it's not even like, it's a probably half a page of panels, where a fight gets far too heated, and our characters, or one of our characters, straight up sexually assaults the other, for like a very brief moment that he soon snaps out of, and realizes, oh, I fucked up, and this is not good, and I'm sorry, and I understand if you never want to speak to me again, type of deal. But the fact that that happened, the fact that it is, like, there's no two ways about it. It's sexual assault, or some people would even go as far as saying it's rape, depending on sort of just your, I guess, your classifications, how much you want to say. I would say it probably it is leaning towards rape. It's not an extended thing, but, you know, it's there. And for as common, unfortunately, as that is in BL, this one, it was doing so many things right. And after that scene, and after sort of the conclusion and the resolution of that scene, because it's not completely disregarded, but it's certainly hand-waved, which tends to be the case in BL, sexual assault not being treated nearly as gravely as it should be. The rest of the series, even after that, is still really good. So I just wish that one page was removed. Because I feel like you could have achieved the same thing with, like, physical violence that wasn't sexually charged in nature. Like, okay, punch him in the face, then like, be sorry about it. Don't do what you did. And it makes it so much harder to recommend this series. If you don't have a problem with that, especially if it's minor in your BL, then yeah, check this one out. It's good and it's well done. And I hope, I have fingers crossed that the future volumes won't have that. We've hopefully gotten past that point, and the singular instance is never, like, repeated. So I have hope for the future volumes for this series, but just the fact that it does happen, and that you know, people are understandably very sensitive about that type of thing, and although it is sort of somewhat of a norm within the genre, we as a people, we as a fan base, we as a demographic have really become more discerning, at least in the West, not necessarily so much in Japan, but like that sort of behavior isn't really welcomed in BL anymore. We have so many other options that don't have that type of thing that it really is painful when you do come across it in a series that is otherwise doing everything right. I don't know. As I said, I'm conflicted about it. I am going to buy the rest of it. I mean, maybe that's hypocritical because I've just talked about it for 8 minutes and sort of been very hesitant, but I do have hope that the series will sort of just move on from this point. It's happened. There's nothing I can do about it. But from even within the context of the scene, it's not something that's romanticized. It's not something that is seen as acceptable. It's not something that's even rationalized or made excuses for. So I'm hoping that now that our characters are in a better place and are being more honest with each other and blah 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 whatever else, I'm hoping going forward I won't have to have this same conversation and confliction for the next couple volumes. The second volume has, I think, just come out. It's coming out this month, so I guess I'll be telling you guys whether or not that's true fairly soon. But if you are wanting a new BL, one that, if you don't mind minor, it's not minor, but you know what I mean. If you can be okay with that and you don't mind reading about it, then this is a good series. I'm so upset because it is it would be one that I'm like, yep, check it out, try it, absolutely, really good, really strong. But again, it has to be your call. I can't really make that decision for anyone because of that one thing, and I'm so annoyed about it. You can obviously tell that I was enjoying it, and that's why I'm so upset that things went so wrong so quickly. But yeah, so Escape Journey hopefully will get better from this point, and I will be less upset with future volumes. I'm not really going to be able to show this all in frame, but we have the complete art of Fullmetal Alchemist by Hiromu Arakawa. This is the collected art book of the 3 art books that were previously released in Japan, and the first 2 were released in English by Viz. I own those 3 books. I also have a copy of the... I got a copy of this book, the Japanese release, for my sister for Christmas last year, or the year before, I can't remember, last year. There's some additional artwork in this book, which is why I picked it up compared to the 3 volume, like the single art books. So yeah, I mean, I'm a big Fullmetal Alchemist nerd, so you know, what can you expect? Beautiful, beautiful book, hardcover, lovely. I would recommend it to anyone who's a fan of the series and Arakawa's artwork. It's just really, really great. And fairly affordable, and as I said, collects all of her artwork for the series, like over the 10 years that it was released. It's just really good. Really, really good. So that is everything that I got for this first half of December. This video got very long because I was ranting about BL. But aside from that, I got some really, really, really good series, some of my favorites. Finished up a really really few manga that I really enjoy, and started some interesting new ones. And yeah, it's been a really good mix, even with the BL that I'm frustrated about. Overall, they're both good picks and both ones that are fairly decent and would probably be for most people to enjoy. But yeah, it's a mixed bag as always. Let me know if there's anything in particular in these pickups that you have also gotten or are hoping to read, or if there's something that I don't have in these pickups that you think that I would like, or if you totally disagree with my opinions, or if you absolutely agree with my opinions on some of these. Let me know. I love reading your comments, and I love, you know, having so many people who like watching my videos, even though they get incredibly too long. But thank you guys so much for watching. I mentioned at the beginning, but I'm also doing the 12 days of anime right now, so I will have another video out today for that. You should check them out and check out all the wonderful people doing that. Right now it's a big community-wide event, lots and lots of people covering lots of different topics and showing off lots of different things. It's really fun. I hope I can manage to get every single one of my 12 videos out, because I have some big plans for that, and I hope you guys can enjoy them. But I'll catch you in the next video, guys. Bye till then.